New king at the top of the Eastern Conference. Last season, the Milwaukee Bucks had the best record in the NBA and the MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo. The 76ers were bounced from the playoffs by Kawhi, but have since added Al Horford to their lineup. See, what do you think? Who's the best team in the Eastern Conference right now?
I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I believe top to bottom they have a better team. I believe that Giannis will come back even better than what they were last year. The Milwaukee Bucks, the only thing they lose is Brogdon, but I believe the rest of that roster and the overall experience, losing in the conference final to the eventual world champs in Toronto, I believe will be great experience for this young basketball team.
The biggest winners of the weekend were the Los Angeles Clippers. The next biggest winners were the Milwaukee Bucks. The Raptors now are no longer contenders. You look out east, it's the Bucks, the Sixers, and maybe the Nets if Kevin Durant comes back earlier than we thought. But the Bucks are the answer to this question. They should right now. They're not, but they probably should be the Vegas favorite to win the whole title.
Another team keep an eye on is the Pacers. Very good starting lineup.
Be a good conference there at East. All right, now that the Thunder have traded Paul George, there's speculation that the team will go into rebuild mode and perhaps trade Russell Westbrook. Russ is a very polarizing player, that we know, to a lot of NBA fans, but he is an 8-time All-Star and a former MVP. Nick, should Westbrook want out of OKC?
Well, let's see. Since he's gotten there, they've traded James Harden to avoid luxury tax after the team moved from a major market, Seattle, then to OKC, and the owners who moved them then claim poor because they're in small market. They then
on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
The stars shine bright as the best in the majors celebrate the Midsummer Classic. This is the MLB All-Star Game. It's tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on Fox. Nick Swisher is joining us in about 15 minutes. He's over in the corner doing push-ups like only Nick Swisher can. Later in the show, Commissioner Rob Manfred will be here. He is actually doing push-ups. I was only kidding, Nick, but we'll have him. All right, time now for your World Cup Wake Up. Biggest free agent in the NBA, Kawhi Leonard, made his decision to play the next 4 seasons in LA. Not that LA team, the other one, the Clippers. The Lakers did not get the big three they envisioned. It's now being reported that Kawhi was never joining the Lakers. See, what do you make of Kawhi picking the Clippers over the Los Angeles Lakers?
I was totally shocked because I didn't know about the Paul George. I knew a lot of information, a lot of people didn't know. The constant theme in that information was, Chris, don't listen to everyone else.
Don't eliminate a team.
All 3 teams are in play. Long-term deals are in play. Short-term deals are in play. And how aggressive Kawhi was going to be. I thought there was a possibility that Kawhi could join Kevin Durant, potentially in New York. I knew that because I knew the Knicks were going to be talking to both of them.
You mean before this, a week and a half ago, not a few days ago? Yep.
Kawhi tried to talk KD into coming to the Clippers, but ultimately, when I look back on it, Kawhi wanted to go to the Clippers. He wanted his own team. He wanted the opportunity to compete, but his trust of Doc Rivers, Steve Ballmer, Jerry West, and their medical staff and what they do for the players, the Lakers are trying to become a world-class organization again. Right now, the Clippers, top to bottom, they do things the right way, and that won Kawhi's trust over.
Listen, Kawhi wanted to go home. He always wanted to go home, but he didn't want to go home alone. He wanted to. He didn't necessarily need.
No one wants to be home alone.
Okay, he didn't necessarily need 2 superstars, but I do not believe he was going to sign with the Clippers. Tell me if you're hearing different. If they cannot orchestrate the Paul George trade, he is not an LA Clipper this morning.
No, he told him, I'm going to go to the Lakers because that presented the biggest problem and also made the sense of urgency for Doc and their front office, Lawrence Frank, to pull off this blockbuster deal. Because now the blockbuster deal, as far as the picks, it doesn't look like, wow, it was just one-sided because they knew the Clippers, if I trade these picks, which you pointed out earlier, Nick, I get 2 of the top 10 players in the world.
Well, that's the thing is, listen, the Anthony Davis trade haul the Pelicans got was the biggest trade haul for a superstar in NBA history for about 2 weeks.
Until this happened.
Until this one. But this was not a trade for 2 superstars. Now, the Thunder are in the catbird seat in this regard. they got the return of 2 superstars while only giving up 1. This was as if the Thunder had traded both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And I know we're not talking about it here, but you mentioned Kevin Durant, and just something to think about, and we can discuss maybe later in the show or later this week. We now know Kevin Durant was presented with this option. Play with Kawhi Leonard with the Los Angeles Clippers, or play with Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. Now, maybe the Knicks were an option as well, but we know Kawhi's number 1 choice was the Clippers. Kyrie's number 1 choice was the Nets. KD could have teamed up with either one of them. He chose, in my mind, and I don't begrudge him this, friendship with Kyrie over greater excellence with Kawhi.
And he chose New York over Los Angeles.
He chose going home the same way Kawhi chose going home.
No, Kyrie chose going home. KD's from the...
Kawhi went back to L.A. the same way KD went.
No. Kyrie's from New York. KD's from D.C. But Kawhi went to L.A., Kyrie goes to New York, and KD is presented with either option. Now, it might not just be he chose Kyrie over Kawhi. It might also be he chose unquestioned, this will be my team. If he had played with Kawhi, he might have been dealing with some of the same thing he was dealing with Steph, which is who's the best player, who gets the credit. But it's just something interesting, because you kept saying the Knicks are in it. And no one else was saying the Knicks were in it. But now we know the Knicks were in it if they could get both those guys. Kawhi would have potentially gone there. They got KD. The Clippers end up getting Paul George.
What do you always say? Sliding doors. What happens? One thing happens and everything follows suit. Got to take a break. We're here at Progressive Field in Cleveland for the All-Star Game. So let's talk some baseball with Nick Swisher next on First Things First.
Swish! There he is.
Welcome to the Major League.